Today, we're going to relive the top sneaker moments from the greatest basketball player of all time. And no, I'm not talking about LeBron. We're talking about the true GOAT of basketball, Michael Jordan. The Air Jordan 12 flu game. On the night of June 11th, 1997, Michael Jordan added a legendary moment to his legacy during the NBA Finals. Forever remembered as the flu game, MJ, despite being visibly ill, led the Chicago Bulls to a 90-88 victory. This victory helped put his team one win away from winning their 5th championship. The sneakers he had on feet, you ask? The black and red Air Jordan 12, which sneaker enthusiasts now refer to as the Flu Game 12s, although it wasn't truly the flu that MJ had. You see, the incident occurred the night before the game when Michael Jordan ordered a pizza to his hotel and got sick. His trainer, Tim Grover, was called to his room in the middle of the night and found him curled up in pain. It was then confirmed that it was food poisoning and not the flu that caused Jordan's illness. Still though, this game is remembered as one of Michael Jordan's most iconic and gutsy performances, and it solidified his reputation as one of the greatest players of all time. The Air Jordan 3. Alright, it's time to take it back to the 1988 Slam Dunk Contest. Michael Jordan, who had won the contest the previous year, was looking to defend his title against a group of insanely talented dunkers, including Dominique Wilkins, Clyde Drexler, and Jerome Kersey. The sneakers for such a momentous occasion? The unforgettable Air Jordan 3. Not only was MJ's title on the line, but this year's dunk contest was being held in Chicago in front of Bulls fans, so the pressure was on. MJ had to show out, and man, the competition was stiff. With Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan trading spectacular dunks throughout the contest, things got a little intense. In the final round, Jordan was trailing Wilkins by 1 point, so he needed a perfect score on his final dunk to tie and win the contest in a dunk-off. In a pair of crispy white Air Jordan 3s, Michael Jordan took off from the free throw line, flew through the air like his logo, and slammed the ball through the hoop with 2 hands. Damn.
They gave him a 50! They gave Jordan a 50! He defends his championship!
The Air Jordan 6 Infrared. In Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals between the Bulls and the Los Angeles Lakers, Michael Jordan made a spectacular play where he switched the ball from his right hand to his left hand in mid-air while scoring a layup. This move is often referred to as the switch layup. The play was significant because it helped the Bulls win the game and set the tone for the series, which they ultimately won in 5 games, leading Michael Jordan to his first ever championship victory. And all of this went down in a pair of fresh Air Jordan 6 Infrareds. The Air Jordan 6 was a true representation of Michael Jordan's style and personality. Its design was heavily influenced by one of Jordan's favorite luxury sports cars, the Porsche 911. This isn't the first time Air Jordan has drawn inspiration from one of Michael Jordan's possessions, but this time it was particularly special. Michael Jordan had previously faced difficulty putting on his signature sneakers, so Tinker Hatfield came up with an innovative solution. He added 2 holes on the tongue and a heel tab that resembled a spoiler of a Porsche 911, making it much easier for Michael Jordan to slip the sneakers on with ease. Ease that carried over into an easy championship dub for the Chicago Bulls in a 4-1 victory in the final series. The Air Jordan 4 Bred. During the 1989 NBA playoffs, the Chicago Bulls were playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers and the game was tied. With only 3 seconds remaining on the clock, Jordan received the inbound pass, dribbled to the right wing, and as the time was expiring, he hit a jump shot over the outstretched arms of Cavaliers guard Craig Ello. MJ was so clutch and so fresh in a pair of Air Jordan 4s. The shot gave the Bulls a 103-101 victory and eliminated the Cavaliers from the playoffs. It was gangster. The Air Jordan 4 was released in 1989, the same year as the iconic moment. The silhouette featured a combination of leather and mesh on the upper, plastic wing eyelets, and a visible air unit in the heel. It was released in several OG colorways, but the black cement colorway, known today as the Bred 4s, that Jordan wore during the shot, is considered one of the most iconic and sought after Air Jordan 4s ever. Bred Air Jordan 11s. On June 16th of 1996, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls secured their 4th NBA championship, 2 years and 8 months after Michael Jordan's first retirement from the league. The Bulls faced off against the Seattle Supersonics, and the series was tied 2-2 before the Bulls won the next 2 games to clinch the championship. Michael Jordan was named Finals MVP for the 4th time in his career. After the game, Michael Jordan was seen laying on the floor crying while still wearing his Bred Air Jordan 11s. The reason for his emotional response was because it was Father's Day and his dad was murdered 3 years prior. Jordan dedicated the entire season to his dad, who had been a big influence on his basketball career. The image of Michael Jordan crying on the floor while wearing some Bred 11s became iconic, and for sneaker enthusiasts, make the Bred 11 one of the most sought after pair of J's in history. The Air Jordan 1 Bred. In his rookie season, Michael Jordan made a huge impact in the slam dunk contest, and it all started with his iconic black and red Air Jordan 1 shoes. Despite the fact that the shoes were apparently banned by the NBA for uniform violations, Jordan effortlessly soared to the final round. And not only did he make a statement with his shoes, but throughout the contest, he also made multiple fashion statements. For example, in the first round, he completed his first set of dunks while wearing his Air Jordan warm-up gear, which was super fly. And for the rest of the contest, Jordan was in his Chicago Bulls uniform, accessorized with multiple gold chains, showcasing his unique ability to always look cooler than everyone else on the court. And although he lost to Dominique Wilkins in the finals, he would soon get his revenge in 1987, where he got the dub rocking a pair of Air Jordan 2s. The Air Jordan 110 Chicago. In his 5th game back from retirement, Michael Jordan was warmed up and he was already getting back into things, but we didn't anticipate what was coming next. He erupted for 55 points against the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, all while wearing his new number 45 jersey and the Air Jordan 10. And thanks to Michael Jordan scoring 55 points, this game is forever remembered as the double nickel. Get it? Like 2 nickels, 5 cents, 5 cents, 55. The performance would serve as a springboard for Michael Jordan and the Bulls throughout the rest of the regular season, before ultimately falling short in the playoffs against the Orlando Magic. Michael Jordan always terrorized the Knicks during his career, so it was appropriate that he got his groove back against his old rival. It also proved to be the most significant moment of the Air Jordan 10 and his number 45 jersey, which was pretty short-lived but still iconic, and that's why it's on this list. Alright, the Air Jordan 11 Space Jam. Okay, while this game existed only in the fabric of movie magic, it's fair to say that the pressure and importance of this game was unparalleled in Michael Jordan's career. In the 1996 cult classic movie Space Jam, Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes faced off against the Monstars from Moron Mountain. The stakes were high, and while the Monstars had taken the talents of some of the NBA's best players, Michael Jordan still managed to rise to the occasion and led his team to victory. Before the game, the camera zooms in on Jordan's feet, showcasing his Space Jam Air Jordan 11s, with their black patent leather shining on screen. The Looney Tunes had earlier in the movie spent time trying to acquire Jordan's Air Jordan 9s for him to practice, but it was the Space Jam 11s that ultimately became legendary, thanks to that close-up shot and an arm-stretching game-winning shot that everybody remembers. If you've watched Space Jam, obviously it's one of the most iconic scenes. Although Jordan had debuted the Space Jams a year earlier during the 1995 playoffs, it was this moment in the film that cemented the sneaker's legendary status. The Air Jordan 1 Chicago. On 2 separate occasions, the Air Jordan 1 Chicago was burned into the memory of NBA fans. Back in 1986, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls were facing off against the Boston Celtics in Game 2 of a playoff series. Despite being in just his 2nd professional season, Jordan put on an unforgettable performance, scoring a then playoff-high 63 points. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and the Celtics took it in double overtime. But this game established Michael Jordan as a serious threat to the NBA's elite players. He was wearing the Chicago colorway of the Air Jordan 1, which took center stage as he sliced and diced through the likes of Danny Ainge, Dennis Johnson, and as well as putting Larry Bird on skates when the situation presented itself. Michael Jordan's performance was praised by Larry Bird himself, who said, "I think it's just God disguised as Michael Jordan." Despite playing just 18 games in his sophomore season due to a broken foot, Michael Jordan's electric playoff performance served as a preview of what was to come throughout his Hall of Fame career. Fast forward to 12 years later, where during Michael Jordan's final trip to Madison Square Garden as a member of the Chicago Bulls, he decided to commemorate his final trip to one of his biggest rivals' arenas with a fresh pair of Chicago 1s. MJ would send the sneakers in the Garden off in style, scoring a total of 42 points in the Chicago Bulls' victory. There was only one problem though. Michael Jordan did not grab the right size. These were a bit too small, and as a result, Jordan's feet were killing him. In fact, when he went back into the locker room during halftime and looked at his feet, he realized that his socks were drenched in blood. MJ, being MJ, thought to himself, you know what, I'm having a good game, and proceeded to finish the game off in small-sized Chicago 1s, despite being in pain. The GOAT. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe to this channel now if you haven't already. Air Jordan 11 in the Columbia colorway. Michael Jordan and Air Jordan brand have always used the All-Star Game as a platform to showcase their latest sneaker offerings. For example, in the 1988 All-Star Game, he made a statement when he wore the black cement Air Jordan 3 and scored 40 points, earning his first All-Star MVP award. He continued this trend in 1992 when he wore the infamous Bordeaux Air Jordan 7s, and in 1993, he wore the Aqua Air Jordan 8s. After his retirement though, Michael Jordan wouldn't participate in another All-Star Game until 1996 in San Antonio. He continued this tradition of breaking out never-before-seen sneakers and wore the Columbia Air Jordan 11s for the first time and only time in his career. Matching the bright teal All-Star jerseys, Jordan's successful return to the All-Star Game spotlight resulted in another All-Star Game MVP and an Eastern Conference victory. Those Air Jordan 11s and those awesome All-Star jerseys made for arguably Michael Jordan's greatest outfit ever. The Air Jordan 7 black and red, or Raptor colorway as some of you call it. Michael Jordan was never really known for his three-point shooting. He's always been thought of as a mid-range dominant player, but in the 1992 NBA playoffs, he proved everyone wrong. In that infamous Game 1, he stepped up to the plate and hit not one, not two, but 6 three-pointers in a row. You could feel the crowd's energy building with every shot, and by the time the 6th one went in, the crowd was on their feet going wild. But it wasn't just the shots that made this moment unforgettable, it was the shrug. After hitting that final 3, Michael Jordan gave a little head shake as if to say, "Can you believe what I just did?" That moment, that shrug, has become an iconic part of basketball history. And just as iconic are the sneakers he had on feet, the Air Jordan 7 black and red, commonly referred to as the Raptor 7s. Yes, we all know the Toronto Raptors weren't even part of the league back then, but anyways, people call them the Raptor 7s. The Jordan 7 doesn't get that much love from the sneakerhead community, but it does have its place in the history of Michael Jordan's epic sneaker legacy on and off the court. The Air Jordan 14 is Game 6 of the 1998 NBA playoffs, and the Chicago Bulls are trailing the Utah Jazz by 1 point. MJ swipes the ball out of Karl Malone's possession with 8 seconds left, staring down Byron Russell in a hostile Utah crowd. He faked right and crossed over left, sending Russell to the ground. With nothing but daylight in front of him, Jordan rose up and drained the jumper, putting the Bulls up by 1 and securing his 6th and final championship victory. It would be his final shot as a member of the Chicago Bulls, and what a way to end a career. Jordan capped off his 6th championship with one of the most iconic shots in the history of the NBA, all while introducing the world to his black and red Jordan 14s, now famously known as the Last Shots. Fun fact about the Jordan 14, Tinker Hatfield, the designer of the shoe, insisted Michael not wear it on the court, but MJ loved the prototype so much he wore them, and thanks to this, they are iconic, and that's why they're on this list. The Air Jordan 18 White Royal. It was a night that will forever be etched in the memories of basketball fans all over the world. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, was playing his final game in the NBA, and all eyes were on him as he stepped onto the court with the Washington Wizards to face off against the Philadelphia 76ers. As the game progressed, Michael Jordan played 28 minutes, scoring 15 points, dishing out 4 assists and grabbing 4 rebounds. But as the Wizards fell behind by 21 points in the third quarter, the crowd at the arena started to chant, "We want Mike, we want Mike." And the legend himself answered the call and stepped back on the court with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the fourth quarter. In those final minutes, Jordan was intentionally fouled by Eric Snow, which sent him to the free throw line for the last shots of his career. With a quick timeout by the 76ers, Jordan left the court for the final time, and the Wizards went on to lose the game 107-87. As the final buzzer sounded, the question on sneakerheads' minds was, what was the future of Air Jordan brand and the Air Jordan sneakers? The retro line had already begun, but fans were wondering if they would ever see a new flagship model Air Jordan again, or if the 18 would be the last silhouette they would ever see. Little did we know that the legacy of Air Jordan would continue to soar even after Michael Jordan's last game. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you. Bye.